Quite often finding or trying to find information about something spiritual, something magical, some specific information is quite difficult because of the amount of authors, websites, blogs, YouTube channels, and everything that's out there. So how do we test what's correct and what isn't correct? That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lee Johnson, and if you haven't done so already and you like my content, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell there so you know when videos come out. And if you'd like to support the channel, then you can hit the join button for a small fee each month. Alright, so when it comes to finding or trying to find information on a particular path, tradition, a particular practice or method of doing magic, it can be quite difficult, especially considering the amount of people who are writing and speaking about all these different topics. Now, there are a few things to bear in mind. Firstly, don't believe anything that anybody says, including myself. Go out, check, double check and triple check the information. And I say this actually came up because I was reading one of Michael W. Ford's books. And in the book, I mean, Michael W. Ford in the Luciferian community, in the Satanic community, in Demonolatry, etc., is one of the authorities. Now, I don't particularly like Michael W. Ford's writings. I don't like his books. But that's just me and that's my opinion. A lot of people do. They find value in it and they find it worthwhile. However, I did come across a few things, but one of the glaring obvious things or mistakes was that in this book he shows images of different types of circles that you can create. And in two of them, in the middle, is the evocation triangle with the name Azazel in Hebrew. And in two of them, he got them correct. It reads Azazel in Hebrew. But then he talks specifically about the evocation triangle and gives an image of the evocation triangle with Hebrew letters and states that it is the name of Azazel in Hebrew. And it's not. It's completely different. The letters in there have two lameds. Azazel only has one lamed. So I don't know what name he put in there, but it definitely wasn't Azazel. So this is why I wanted to bring this up. It doesn't matter how accomplished somebody is, how authoritative they are, what position they hold in any community. Check, double check and triple check the information. Don't just take it at face value, because it doesn't matter who it is, they're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, we're only human. But if you have published and republished a book several times, somewhere along the line you should have picked up a glaring mistake like that. And I mean, the spelling errors and stuff in there is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, right through the book, it's supposed to say acausal and causal, but it gets written as casual and acasual. But, you know, can't all be perfect, I suppose. Now, there are a few things to bear in mind here. There is UPG, which is unverified personal gnosis, and a lot of people have that and they do write about it. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's personal knowledge that they gained in their own practice. They may have been given particular knowledge, particular information by the spirits, and all they're doing is talking about that. And at some point it could become a group collective where a lot of people are experiencing the same thing, getting the same information, and then it becomes verified gnosis eventually. But when people do speak about UPG, they should rightly say, this is the experience I had, or this is the knowledge that I gained from a particular practice, and just state that it is UPG. A lot of people don't, because they just, they talk about a particular topic and then it comes up somewhere and they just speak about it. But even with UPG doesn't mean that it's wrong. In fact, in some cases it could be more right than something else. But just bear in mind, it hasn't been verified. The knowledge has not been verified. So when you are reading this type of information, or hearing about this type of information, or whatever information it is, whatever knowledge it is, take that knowledge, take that information and test it. And as I said, check, double check and triple check everything. You've got to do your homework. Otherwise, you're just going to end up believing something that somebody else does and just following like a sheep. And especially on the left-hand path, that's not really the way to do it. In fact, in that book of Michael W. Ford's, what I found quite disturbing was that he basically mentions that you should not ask questions. You should not, if you have an experience, you should not ask another practitioner about that experience and sort of bounce it off them and try and get their perspective, because it makes you appear weak. And this is something we're experiencing quite a lot in the communities, is that people feel they shouldn't ask questions because it makes them appear weak, and that is very wrong. You should be asking questions. If you're having experiences and you're not sure what the experience was about, you need to ask people if they've had the same experience and what their interpretation of it was, and what they took away from it, so that you can verify your own experience. At the end of the day, if you're doing this, if you're not asking the questions, if you are just blindly reading other people's information without checking and double checking it, you're going to just follow. And the left-hand path is about creating your own self, your own self-worth. But you've got to ask the questions in order to determine if what you experienced was actually something that you can take with you in that journey. And something else to bear in mind when reading information, especially when it comes to mythology, well, not mythology itself, but how people relate to the spirits, for instance. One person may say that Satan and Lucifer are the same being. Another person will say they are separate beings. One person will say that Lilith, Az, and Babylon and Hecate are the same being. Another person will say they're not, they're all separate, they're all individual. So just remember that not everybody has the same viewpoint about these particular things, and some people can be hard polytheistic, other people are soft polytheistic. You have all of these different paths and traditions in the world, and they are, in a lot of cases, they're following a similar pattern, but not quite the same. They're kind of going parallel. Sometimes they veer off completely, but we all have our different beliefs and our different understandings of the deities, of the cosmos, of the universe, how things are created, how things are manipulated, and all of this. So, when you're reading somebody else's information, see what resonates for you and discard the things that don't resonate for you. But at the same time, remember them. Because at some point in your life, you could come across a particular bit of information which does resonate with you, which changes your entire perspective of what you've believed in the past. And there's no harm in that. You shouldn't think that there's something wrong, or you were wrong, or anything like that. It's just a matter of your path just developing. And with development comes change. So you could at some point veer off completely from what you've believed in the past and go in a new direction. And if you have all of that knowledge gained from all of those other people, you can go back and you can start pulling out what now resonates with your new journey. So, read all of this stuff, but check, double check, and triple check. Do not take things on faith or blindly. And also remember there is UPG. It doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's right. It needs to be tested. And also remember that everybody has their own beliefs, their own understandings, how they came to these understandings in their own logical sense. And it fits in with their path and it fits in with their beliefs. It doesn't need to be your belief. I have found a lot of people, they pick up a book of Magick and that's really the only experience they've had at that point, and that becomes the Bible. Because, especially when someone's a beginner, it's possible that their understanding of magic is quite pinpointed, whereas it's extremely broad. So they may pick up a book, it makes perfect sense to them, it helps them to progress, to move away from the path that they're trying to move away from, for instance, and they feel almost a sense of responsibility. It's gratitude. And so what they'll do is they will then continue with that information and disregard all other information. And then when somebody comes along and challenges that information they have, they kind of freak out and go, no, you're wrong. Don't do that. Get as much information as you can. If you're studying one particular topic, study 10 different authors on that topic and find out where the overlaps are, find out which information is correct and which information is not, and compare, check. Don't go on blind faith. All right. I hope this helps with, gaining on developing your own path and your own journey, just a little bit. But please remember, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter what authority they have in any community or on any particular topic. Check them. Don't go on blind faith, because, like I said, I found mistakes in people's books who are, they've written 20 plus books and that makes them an authority. It doesn't. It makes them human. They are still human, they will still make mistakes, but when they are glaring mistakes that they have not corrected over years, you've got to question that. I hope you found something worthwhile in this video, and I hope you carry on growing. Have a good one. Cheers.